today we are going to cover how to clean your miniatures. So there's a little bit of a story behind this video. This is not the video I intended to make tonight, but I had a somewhat busy Easter weekend, shall we say. I got some surprise visitors that I was not expecting. When we were out hunting for Easter eggs in the back garden, my wife happened to notice, the lovely camera grot, that something had been chewing at the bottom of the shed door. Now, I don't know about you, but I've got a lot of Warhammer stuff. And some of it just kind of needs to overspill somewhere. So, I mean, a lot of the stuff that I use day to day is here in the games room with me, but there's some bags of kind of just old books and miniatures, perhaps in boxes that have not yet been assembled or have been assembled but are waiting painting, which I keep stored in a shed. Now, this is not your run-of-the-mill kind of slightly damp wooden garden shed. Now, this is kind of a big, proper summer house-style wooden garden shed that came with the house. But we've got various things that we've stored out there. And as you can see from this short clip, there was an unfortunate entry, a breach, should be heard, in Sector 2, where something had chewed its way in. So we opened up the door to the shed, and unfortunately there and laid out in front of us were some rat droppings. So I grabbed a box that was immediately by the door, because I'm very much like, Ben, do. Grabbed a box by the side of the door, dunked it outside into the sunlight so I could see what was inside it. The answer of which was a rat, because it jumped out of the box towards my face. And I kind of threw my hands in the air and uttered several four-letter words, and the rat, I'm assuming, did the same, because it dashed off away in the opposite direction from me, ran inside a watering can, skittered around in there for a moment, then zoomed off into the distance. I was then all geared to throw some gloves on and just start rummaging through the box to see what was in there. Again, my wife, the beacon of sensibility in our relationship, suggested that this might not be the best move, and instead got a very long stick, tipped the box over onto its side and gave it several hefty whacks with the stick, at which point another rat erupted from the box and headed for the hills. The side effect of this was we cleaned out the shed, we dragged various things out of there, and unfortunately, as rats all want to do, they had basically either eaten anything they could eat, destroyed anything they could destroy, and used everything else as a toilet. The side effect of this is that I have now got several miniatures, in particular, a large kind of old school work tray full of Nurgle miniatures, somewhat appropriately, which I need to clean, because although it would appear, I mean, there's like only 2 rat droppings in that whole tray, maybe the miniatures are just too spiky for them to want to run over, I don't know. But although they are majoritively clean, I don't want to actually LARP Nurgle and make my opponents ill or myself ill whilst using them. So this begs the question, how do you clean, like properly clean, plastic or metal or resin Games Workshop miniatures, especially some that might already have been assembled or painted? I don't know is the answer. So I've looked up, first of all, on the CDC, the Centre for Disease Control website, how do you clean away like rat feces and rat urine? And the answer seems to be bleach, which I am somewhat concerned as to what impact that might have on miniatures. But I've therefore gone for the next best thing, which is Milton. So anybody who's got kids or lives in the UK might have come across this stuff. It's a sterilising liquid that has a lot in common with bleach, but it's perhaps just a little bit less harsh. This is the sort of thing that's used for sterilising like baby bottles. In our house, for example, it's used for sterilising bottles before mead is put in them. But so I have got a bottle of Milton, again, channeling the sensible nature of my wife. I have a bottle of rubber gloves, just in case, so I'll slip my marigolds on now. And then what I have got is some samples, really. Something I don't want to just test it on, like grab one of the dirty miniatures from the shed and just test it. I can't put gloves on. This is embarrassing. I have got 4 things to represent the various states in which the stuff in the shed might be found. I'm going to just put one on. I think one should do the trick. Partly because I'm now worried about my ability to put the second one on. There we go. This is my grabbing things out of bleach hand. So I have got a plastic sprue. Now, anyone who was watching the Morehammer Podcast would have seen me building a Blood Bowl tree man. Well, this is the little bit of sprue that was left over from that, but it seems like an ideal thing to test. I have got a Dwarven Miner. Brave, bold Dwarven Miner. He is undercoated in black undercoat, like a lot of the stuff that's out there in the shed, but he is also crucially, plastic glued onto his base, which will let me see how plastic glue reacts with the Milton. I have got an old hammer lead metal miniature with some basic colours on. It's got some scab red, and I think it's red gore actually, and some bleached bone on its hat. This is a metal Warhammer familiar, but I am fairly confident this will hold up to pretty much anything, but I'm interested to see how the paint holds up to exposure to the Milton. And finally, I have a resin Forge World gate. This is essentially the block that comes attached to a load of Forge World type miniatures. And again, it's just really to kind of see what impact the Milton has on resin. So that's my 4 little tester samples. Now I know what you're thinking. Dettol. Dettol is a perfect antiseptic. It has the unfortunate side effect though that I know for a fact it strips the paint off miniatures. I am hoping that this will not have the same effect. We'll see. Dettol, you have to leave stuff in for quite some time. This stuff, it recommends leaving stuff in for 15 minutes. So what I've got here is a litre of warm water. And the instructions on the back recommend 1 cap for a litre of warm water. So there we go. Tip that in there. Give it a shake. Give it a stir around. There we go. And let's see. So, okay, first things in, let's put the sprue in. Then we'll put the dwarf in. The metal miniature. And the Forge World resin. So there we go. Okay, so I could now just do a swoosh spin of the clock thing, and we'll see, in 15 minutes how that's come out. But I thought whilst that is doing it, I would entertain you a little bit further with something else that I came across out there in the shed. So, like I said, I mean, there's various things out in the shed. There was a whole bag of, Horus Heresy novels that I've read and then I don't have room for on the shelf, which I was kind of panicked of, oh my god. But as it turns out, although the rats chewed up the bag, they completely ignored the books. They didn't even pee on them. Whether this is respect for the works of the Black Library authors or a critique on the quality of their workmanship, I don't know. Likewise, I had a bag with various kind of limited edition miniatures, so things like the Catachan Colonel and stuff, and Ripper Jackson, still in their shrink wrap, which, although, I mean, they are out there kind of, oh no, these are special, I'm going to build them and include them in my army, because miniatures are meant for playing with. But anyway, thankfully the rats left those alone as well. There was another thing I found out there, though, that I had forgotten that I had. I suppose this was the benefit of clearing the shed out, and that is, I had, essentially, a couple of years ago, 3 years ago, during Lockdown 2, a friend of mine dropped me a line and said, hey, I've got this 3D printed model of Claptrap. Would you mind for Borderlands? Would you be up to paint it for me? And I said, yeah, cool. I'm always up for painting something new. And it came out really nicely. Here's a little video of how it came out. But so, as a thank you, he was dead chuffed with it, as I was. It's now happily adorning his desk next to it when he games, so he can kind of, enjoy it. He said that his parents had pulled a box out of their attic from when he was a kid, that he'd kind of been into Warhammer, and he wasn't going to get back into Warhammer. Would I like it? I'm like, yeah, cool, awesome. Then I moved house, and loads of stuff that was kind of there to be dealt with just got shoved in the shed until such time as I could get round to it. Now, I've checked this box. This box was completely sealed up with tape. There has been no kind of obvious rodentry on the outside, and I have disinfected the outside of the box thoroughly with some antibac wipes. I'm still going to keep my glove on, but I don't think I've got any cause for concern for this box. But let's have a look while we're waiting. 15 minutes. 12 minutes now. Let's see what's in the box! Okay, so, big old box. And straight away, I know that there are some other boxes inside this box. So let's get those out first. There is, I think it's a toolbox. Now, it's a fun box. This is the sort of thing that, I think this is what I kept miniatures in when I was a kid, although mine was a toolbox when I was a kid. But this is the sort of thing that I guess kids' crayons and scissors and paints and stuff are supposed to be stored in. It looks like it's got some miniatures in it. We've also got a shoebox. We'll get to those, and then we'll have a look at the other stuff that's hiding at the bottom of the big box. So let's take a look in the shoebox first. What's in the box? Okay. There is some cool stuff in this box, and I'm very chuffed to see this. First things first, we've got what looks like a couple of land speeders. No weapons on the front. It might be maybe that they're buried elsewhere in the box, and one of them seems to be missing its fins. They're painted in what looks like Dark Angel's green, and there's some bit of battle damage on the side, nothing that can't easily be repaired. But the reason I made the hoo-hoo-hoo-hoo noise is there's Flock! Ah, proper classic GW flock. Anybody who's on Twitter may have seen, or on the Morehammer Discord, may have seen I recently painted up from March from a Crag an RTB01 classic plastic ultramarine. And I actually based that to look like it was based with the classic flock, but I achieved that effect by putting Valhalla Blizzard technical paint on the base, waiting till it was dry, then just giving it a quick coat of Mantis Green contrast, which did give a very similar effect. But I've got real flock now. Okay, so I'm painting a halfling team for Blood Bowl, for the Small Nations League that I'm doing with Morehammer guys. I'm going to have to put some classic flock on those. That's got to happen. And also, actually, probably my 6th edition Empire army that I'm working on in the cabinet is going to need some of the miniatures. Going to have patches of classic flock on it. Cool. What else have we got? Okay, so looks like a couple of three Space Marine bikes. Then there's some sprues on the top. Let's have a look. Yeah, so, okay, this makes sense with the Dark Angels green. We've got what looks like the Dark Angels Veteran sprue. Another part of it, an Assault sprue. Ooh, that's got the little helmet wings on, that's cool. Oh! There's a Land Raider! That's awesome. Okay, so, and it's been done properly where the bits all move as well. It's missing a door, but maybe the door is in here. Let's keep having a look. Ooh, there's some paints at the bottom. Oh, I thought for a minute I got Devil and Mud. The most awesome of all brown washes, Devil and Mud. No, it's Griffin Sepia, but that's still cool. What else we got? Well, appropriately, we got some Dark Angels green. That looks like that is still usable. Oh, baby. Okay. We've got some Scab Red. I'm not going to draw them. We've got a whole bunch of classic paints, it looks like. That's very cool. Oh, man, Bulk Metal. It's like, these are the... Oh, yeah, that's still liquid. Okay, cool. Might have to paint some of these. Got a mix of kind of the flip-top classic lids and the hexagonal lids. I'm going to have to paint some of these Marines up using these classic paints. Looks like the other... Okay, Ezekiel, Asmodai, Azrael with... Yep, there's his gun. And his helmet carrier. So basically all the classic metal Dark Angels characters. Admittedly, most of these have just been replaced with Primaris versions, but still, that's pretty friggin' cool. Pack of dice, some clippers. I think these were the clippers that came in the Games Workshop paint set. I'm sure I could use these for cutting through electrical cables. And a dreadnought that might need a little bit of TLC, but that's not a problem. Whew, okay, that looks like the contents of this box. Oh, and some brushes as well, I forgot to say. Some unused classic Gentleman's W brushes. I'm going to have to see if I can paint a Marine up using these paints. Okay, so let's see. Griffin Sepia. Let's just put the little bits back. Boys, get back in the box. How are we doing for time? 8 minutes gone. We'll get through this, it's fine. So, Bulk Metal for the guns, Dark Angels green for the armour, Bronze Flesh for the flesh, some Chaos Black, Bleached Bone for the chest eagles, Bulk Scab Red for the guns. Yeah, okay, I'm going to make myself I'm going to keep your eyes peeled. I might do a short or something in the future where I paint a Dark Angel using these classic paints. Let's take a look in the fun box. Okay, so on the lid, it looks like there's a few little bits in the lid. There's some little cardboard tiles that I think look like they maybe came from a board game, and a Beaky Marine with a rocket launcher, and metal Dark Angel standard top. Interesting. That might be the one that came from Azrael. Let's take a look inside. What's in the box? Ooh. Okay, so Fabius Bile, metal Dark Angel Scout. I do love the metal Scout models. They are so cool. Some Banshees. Fugan, the Fire Dragon Phoenix, missing his axe, but maybe again they moved that somewhere in the box. Got some Banshees, Dark Reaper Exarch, a metal fire warp spider with a stone just randomly glued to his back, and just Eldrad Ulthwan, although again he appears to be missing his sword unless it's hiding somewhere else in here. That's cool. Okay, let's put you boys back in there. I'm guessing that his two main armies there were Space Marines, Dark Angels, and Eldar. The appropriate thing to do would be to paint these up and then play a game of like 3rd edition, given I've got both the Dark Angel and Eldar 3rd edition codices, and it would be quite cool. Speaking of things that are quite cool, there's a Rhino. It's been assembled with the hatch open, but maybe I can model that to be something cool. And, it's only the Space Marine Vindicator, the metal plastic one, using the old Rhino chassis from 2nd and 3rd edition. That's very, very cool. It's been glued onto like a round base, interestingly, because it seems to have part of its bottom missing. Any sign then of Eldrad Ulthwan's sword? Well, there's a Steel Legion guy. That's kind of cool. I haven't got any of those. He's kind of cool. And then, what else have we got? We've got some plastic Dark Angels. We've got some plastic Terminators. And these Imperial Fist. No, hang on. That's metal. That is a metal Imperial Fist Terminator. Any more? No, that one's plastic. And that one's plastic. It's just one cool, awesome, random metal Imperial Fist Terminator. That's very cool. There's some Guardians in the bottom here. And, oh, there's a Dark Angel Standard Bearer. So that's presumably where the metal standard that I found was coming from. Okay, awesome. Keep an eye on the time. 4 minutes left before we check the stuff in the Milton. It's looking promising so far. There doesn't appear to be any seepage coming off the side of the painted miniature, at least. We pop these to one side. And let's take a look in the big fella. What's in the box? Oh. Okay. Falcon Grav Tank. Falcon Grav Tank. Eldar Jet Bike. Chaos Marine Bike, I think, is it? No, maybe? I don't know. Yeah, that looks like a Chaos Marine Bike. Ooh, that's cool. Classic, ooh, some classic Eldar Viper Jet Bike transfers, interesting. And a classic Games Workshop painting guide. That's nice. Oh, okay. No, better than all of that. It is the plastic kind of banners that go at the back of the jet bikes. Not plastic, the paper ones that you fold out, the stickers. It's stickers! What have we got? Okay, that looks like the cockpit from one of the Falcons. What else have we got here? Yeah, there's another Falcon cockpit. Let's see if we can find the gun to go with that. Oh, okay, not a Falcon. One of them's a fire prism. I don't have a fire prism. I've got like a Falcon and 2 wave serpents in my existing Eldar army. Looks like I've now got 2 Falcons, 2 wave serpents, and a fire prism. I feel an army list writing session coming on later this evening. There's a Eldar Warwalker as well, and... Oh, is this gun in here? Let's have a look. There's a gun sword. Yes! It's the Metal Avatar! Sweet! Okay. I've got the Forge World Resin Avatar for my Eldar army, but never going to turn my nose up at a classic 2nd edition Eldar Metal Avatar. What else have we got? It's got some metal Nurglings. They're funny. That's somewhat appropriate given I'm cleaning ready to clean a Nurgle army. Oh, hang on. Is that? No way. That is not one, but 2 of the Imperial Space Marine model. The metal Imperial Space Marine model. I know they re-released him in plastic as a multi-part plastic for like the commemoration of 40k. But that's an incredible chunk of it. A, it's lead. It doesn't even have a date on the base. It just says Imperial Marine. One's in Dark Angels Green, appropriately. That is an incredible find. And not to find just 1, but 2. This is a literal... I've never seen one of these in person. This is a literal chunk of Warhammer history that I am holding in my hand. And I'll tell you what I'll do. Okay, if you've stuck with me thus far, drop me a comment in the comments below saying yes please or me please. I was going to say when I hit 40,000. When I hit 4,000 subscribers, anybody who commented on this video saying yes please or me please, I will pick one of you and I will send you one of these metal Imperial Space Marines. Because it seems rude to have 2, and I'm not going to eBay one, this was a gift. But sharing the love, that seems appropriate. Okay, let me move this stuff very carefully to one side. Because these are going to need some TLC in the very near future. Let's just pop these back in the box. And let's see how things have gone. Because that's 15 minutes. So, okay, use the gloved hand then. Okay, the sprue. Use the other glove. It's not in any way harmed the strength of it, like it's flexing but it's not breaking. Rubbing at the detail that's printed it. No, that's fine. That is entirely unscathed. So at the very least, it does not harm bare plastic. That's something good to know. Let's check the dwarf. Where are you, dwarf? Ah. Again, we're looking good. Doesn't look as if any of the black spray has come off, but more importantly, Yeah, the plastic glue has held strong. Okay, we're 2 for 2. Let's check the metal miniature. No paint coming off. Might want to just dunk these in some clear cold water once I'm done, but I think that is pretty good. I mean, maybe... Is any... No, none of the paint's coming off on my glove. If it is, it's so imperceptible that I can't tell. Maybe, just maybe, a little bit of the detail on the raised metal ridges is rubbing off. Most of this Nurgle army is plastic, though, or resin, so it won't cause major problems. Let's check the resin. Okay, resin, it's been sat in warm bleach, basically. No, that is absolutely fine. Okay! That's really good to know. I know how I'm cleaning my Nurgle. Whether or not the Nurgle army will do any good once it's been thoroughly disinfected, I don't know, but at least I'll be able to play games with it. Well, there we go. On that bombshell, I shall end. Don't forget, you can catch me on the Morehammer Podcast every week. Please, if you're not already a subscriber, head over there and subscribe. If you're not already a subscriber to this channel, please subscribe. Help me get to that 4,000. Otherwise, I shall simply say thank you very much for watching, and as ever, I shall catch you next time. Bye for now.